Hey everybody, Ben here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. So this message could be for two different people. Someone that is receiving intuitive information or communication from someone that is yearning for them, or someone that uh, is actually the one yearning for the other person, but kind of hesitant or afraid to move forward. This isn't like a relationship from the past, like it never turned into something. It is a lot of time has passed. I'm actually going to use a bit of my experience for context to make it make more sense, because it was confusing and limiting on what is true, what is not. Is this, are my emotions now getting involved in a way that I'm fabricating this myself? And uh, maybe they're watching here and they need this confirmation. So I will be kind of communicating in a way of both sides. So you'll have to kind of put it together how it fits. So to go into context, I think it was, the past couple days, this individual from a long time ago came into my mind, and it would have been ooh, 18, 20 some years since I would have, seen them, and I would have made an effort towards them. And if I recall correctly, it would have been rejected. And, okay, got that point clear. That's fine. Let that go. Now, granted, right now is Mercury retrograde where I'm at. And normally, people from the past come up. But like I said, it's not in a bad way. It's not a bad thing. It's not like there was a relationship and it ended and we're trying to bring it back together. It's not that kind of a connection at all, or that person. To start this off, looking back, and granted, I hardly ever think of this person because the door is closed. Why would I do that? And it was this past summer, Northern Hemisphere, so July, August probably. I had a dream, and this person wanted to hang out. And I woke up from that dream and, like, yeah, right. That's impossible. That's impossible. So I wrote that off real quick. Like, I must be nuts. Now, obviously, I forgot about that until here recently when it started coming through. And again, it is impossible in my mind. Like, I'm writing it off immediately because it was pretty clear, not interested. There may have been other motives, or reasonings, I should say, that are beyond me. I would have just been a kid. What do I know? We're just worried about when we're going to eat next. And who knows? Maybe they were devoted to their future and they didn't want distractions. Maybe they weren't allowed to date at that time. Maybe there was rules. Maybe they were hurt at a younger age and they were afraid something like that was going to take place again. Maybe they didn't have a parental figure their same gender that instead, say it was a female and they grew up in a male household, so they uh, didn't see that as a thing, or vice versa. A male growing up in a female household and not being as masculine. And so thinking it's not for me, I don't know how to do this kind of thing. Now, granted, an enormous amount of time has passed. People have changed, people have evolved, people have turned into themselves. Maybe they're seeing something differently now. So anyway, these thoughts were coming in, and I'm like, this is impossible. This can't be. This unfathomable. This is, for numerous reasons. I must be nuts. So I'm reaching out for confirmations, and they're coming in, and I still won't believe this. Because I'm thinking, is this me, or is it communication? And then I'm getting like, this has to be limerence now, because it's like drilling into my head. I'm disconnecting, but it's coming back. Like, this is messed up. I'm losing it, type of deal. And the confirmations keep coming. I'm like, at this point, I'm having communication with spirit to confirm things. Is this me? Is this real? Is this them? Are these thoughts theirs? And I keep getting the confirmations, and I'm like, I can't believe it. It's so unbelievable. So I disconnect from that. I energetically say, if you want that, you have to present yourself, because uh, I would never, you know, given my assumptions and the previous rejection, like why would I do that? Seriously, like why would someone do that? And when this is coming through, okay, so first day I disconnect, next day it's coming back. And I'm like, nah, this is nuts. And then, like, in a split second, like this whole life with this person flashes through my eyes, and I'm like, okay, now this is getting that, kind of crazy. Like I'm really thinking something's weird, because normally, like, if I'm just getting a message about other situations, my emotions aren't connected. It's not involving me. But when you are involved, this is no different than, trying to do things yourself. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but when our emotions are connected to things, we we get in the way from, the true message. So the big thing is why I'm constantly trying to disconnect. I'm just not letting it play through, because if it's me, and I know, to an extent what I'm capable of, I don't want to be projecting these thoughts into someone else's head, into their mind. Like, I don't like it, because normally, like, when people would do that shit to me, it's negative. It's for negative reasons, and I don't like that. And if I was doing that to someone else, I don't want to do that. I don't like it when it's done to me in a negative sense. If it's a positive sense, it's different. But in a negative sense, I don't want to be that person. So I'm constantly trying to disconnect, thinking that I'm fabricating this, that I'm creating this. And that's why I'm constantly looking for confirmation, because it's like it's drilling. And like when some of that kind of stuff comes in, I'm like, and I'm thinking like that's how other people are going to experience it. And they probably don't experience it that way. So that's how I'm envisioning, like, if I was doing something like that, how someone else might experience it. So I'm trying to disconnect from this, but it's coming through really strong. Obviously, a lot more takes place, and then uh, another day, it's in the morning. It's happening again. I'm driving, and it's like it's good energy. It's not a bad thing. So I just said, fine. If it's here, I'll sit in it. And it's a nice experience. Um, it was a nice feeling. There was nothing wrong with it. And then uh, again, talking myself out of it. No, it can't be. Confirmations are coming through very clearly. And I'm walking into a store, and I'm like, so, like, just like, no, it can't be. This is impossible. And I'm like shaking my head, and I look up, and, in a store, there's aisles and signs. And right in the middle, there's two signs. And I mean, they're very large signs, and they're swinging together like this. And it was just so clear that there's like this magnetic pull somehow, this energetic pull. So I was like, okay, but this is just so far fetched. And sometimes these experiences like this they are very far reaching. They have no explanation. Blessings in general, like, you get this enormous amount of money, like, where did it come from? Or how did everything just perfectly, how do I get to this place that is perfect? These blessings like this are, there's not a rhyme or a reason. And at times, if we look at the time, maybe, two people, they have to heal enough to uh, go through life and experience things, figure out themselves, till they, otherwise it would have been ruined out the get-go. Not saying that that's totally connected to this situation, but just in general. So I said, fine, that's how it is. I'm not going to do anything about it, because the past, why would you bother? If this person actually wants to do something with it, I said, what do they need? Uh, they need an announcement that says, spirit. They need to know that they can come through. Why? What is it that is holding them back? Is it fear, that a fear of rejection? Is it what kind of was coming through at the place was that this experience, it was and in these words shouldn't be taken the wrong way, but it was very elementary or juvenile, in a way that wasn't like how I pictured dating nowadays. Like, it was just very innocent, and I don't know what to do, in a way that it's almost going to be like awkward, Like, where do I start? How do I do this kind of thing? Because it's just, it's so basic. And what I'm getting at here is like, you don't need all the normal qualifications that dating nowadays kind of presents. You know, do you have a good job? Do you have your benefits package? How much have you saved? You know, what addictions do you have? What do you do in your spare time? You know, all these like checklist things. Like, that's out the door. Like, if you think back in grade school, you know, high school, middle school, how would you date? Uh, Granted, there you already have a community. You're already kind of interacting with people, and you kind of already know what they're like. You don't have to look at a picture on a screen and say, am I attracted to this person? And do they hold some values that I want in someone? And then we try and see where things go. Uh, there's, I also feel like there's a bit of confusion in this person's mind of, uh, you know, what's going on. This might be this pool, this energetic pool. There may not be reasoning for it. Maybe these feelings are different than what would have been felt in the past, which it did present itself that way. It was very uh, unexplainable. Maybe it has to do with light in general, your energy, your authenticity. It uh, could not be explained. Are they drawn to it in a way because it's just energy and it's not really the person? Or is it uh, a lot of confusion of how are things going to fit together? You know, is this going to work? Do I even want to take a chance and be hurt? You know, have I ever really truly expressed these feelings? Do I know how to? Am I ready? You know, who am I? Am I even a comparison or a fair bond for this person? You know, type of deal. Like, there's there's so much going through this person's head, uh, and a lot of fear. You know, where does that fear stem from? And I mean, it was still there, and I was like, well, you know, what else here? And the song, uh, what's it called? Car Sick by Kay Flay, I think, came on, and I like her music, but what I really get from that is, you know, the two people, someone was enjoying themselves while the other person is like, their mind is just, it's pulling in so many different directions, and it really comes down to, you know, what is this person waiting for? Uh, Now, if I'll speak to the people that may be having these feelings but aren't making a move to it, it's almost like they're giving up before they even tried. They are quitting before starting. It's already over before anything was experienced. And obviously there's a level of fear there, wherever that fear may be, whether it's rejection or just holy shit, you know, what's going to happen? I can't see this through. I can't project. I can't assume an outcome. And if I actually walk in here, I have to be vulnerable in a way to actually express how I truly feel. And that's fucking scary. And I don't know if I want to do that, you know, but could you imagine holding that and feeling the possibility of something and not doing anything with it? I mean, that's what's going through my head here, is like, if you actually feel that and you'd rather sit with it, and if we go back to the song Car Sick, it doesn't feel like it's a very comfortable experience. Wouldn't you want to get it off your chest? Wouldn't you want to do something with it, with seeing the potential of it? Or would we rather hold on to it and feel car sick and wonder, constantly wonder? Uh, Probably gonna leave it there. We'll pull a card or two. Oh, I wanted to talk about now. Let's say the person, uh, like if you were in my position, receiving this information. Obviously, the past would have almost shown a closed door. So we're not going to open that door. That door is going to stay closed from our avenue because it was closed before. If it's coming in, I held on to it to do this message, but after this, I'm gonna have to let it go because it's the ball's in their court. It's up to them, and I would advise the same for you. It is Mercury retrograde now again. A lot of thinking, obviously, on their end. Uh, they have to make an effort, and it is their choice, but it's not our job to carry that choice for them. We can open the door, and the door is open if we so want it to be, but it's up to them. Otherwise, like I said, we can't carry it for them. They have to do it themselves, and that might be an experience that uh, they're working towards or not. I'm not saying like it's not healthy for us to stay in a place of hope and holding on to something. It is, there's two people involved and they both have to be involved. Granted, like I said, if you're open to it, the door is open. Like I'm talking to these individuals that are on the other side. The door is open for you. The person, or as I'm speaking, we already know. It's not like it's going to be a surprise. We already know. And like, how could you be rejected when we already know? We already know what you're going to say, to an extent, I should say. But I don't know where the holdup is then. I think it's the vulnerability with the feelings that has to do with it. It is scary, I'd imagine. But sometimes scary things are things you're supposed to run towards. Anyway, let's see what we got here, Spirit. The Devil reversed. Empowerment. This is obviously talking to the ones on the other side. How are you going to empower yourself? By action, taking action. It's very simple. Scary. The other way the devil is bondage, chains that we build on ourselves. Maybe we're worried about what other people think. We want to keep it a secret. We're worried about our image. Who knows? Excuse me. By empowering yourself, I say fuck everyone else that has a negative opinion, I should say. People are always going to talk. Doesn't really matter. But when we truly come into ourselves and we don't run from what fuels us or how we feel, that is authenticity. And when we stand in that, we are empowered. Otherwise, we let everything external or cultural, traditional, upbringing, construction control us. It holds us. It holds us to that form. They know how to get a hold of you. There's so many ways nowadays. That song by Gwen Stefani, "What You Waiting For," came in my mind. Tick tock, tick tock. Yeah, before someone else gobbles the person up. The Empress reversed. Self-focus. You're worried you're too focused on yourself. You're doing you to an extent that they don't think there's room for someone else. And that's an assumption, a projection that, we all guilty of making assumptions. But how do they know? Normally, I would think in an extent when someone's like really in an authentic place and they're working towards, themselves or a goal or self-perfection came through, there is room for someone that's right. There's not room for somebody that's wrong. there's a huge difference. And how do you know who's right for you or not? Well, you try. You know, you don't know until you try. Nine of Pentacles reversed. Dependence. Is this person uh, coming from a? I don't think so. At least what was coming through on my end beforehand, but self dependence is coming through. Maybe they okay, uh, maybe they're very self dependent, and they look at a relationship as uh, a weakness in a way that uh, uh, affects not just their external image, but their internal image of how they're viewing it. Maybe they feel that uh, being granted, relationships can be very independent. Two people can be very independent in a relationship, but maybe they see it as what's the word here, Spirit? It is. Oh, I'm blanked here. It's troublesome in a way that they can't. I don't know if they can open up emotionally, and it could cause trouble because that's vulnerability. Yeah. I don't want to go too long on this one. So one last card here, please, Spirit. What you waiting for again? I'm not really sure how it came out. Queen of Wands, excessive control, charismatic. How do we want to go with this? Really depends on who I'm talking to here. Obviously, the yearner is feeling the charismatic on seeing you as very charismatic. The person getting the intuitive message. The excessive control is before a lot of the hits that were coming through was going back to that car sick. Like these thoughts are just, I don't think they know how to feel their emotions right now. Like these emotions are different, and they're trying to control it in a way to understand it. And I don't think they've experienced it before, like this way, to validate what they're feeling. It's very no different than all the shit that was coming in, and I was thinking, is this mine? Am I creating this? What's going on? Like there was a lot of confusion, and I didn't understand it. I don't know, was I creating it? Was it coming in? Is it real? Is it not? Is it a dream? What is this? And it's this pull, those signs. And I was getting confirmation on the energy. I forget how it was worded before what came through. It was because I was really stuck. Is this just a really strong telepathical communication? And it was, no, it was an energetic, I don't want to say bond, but I don't know any other way to word it. And it's not in a negative sense. It's a very positive sense, which in my situation made it much more confusing. But I know somebody out there has to be experiencing this. And it's nice to know that, like I said, is this limerence or is it not? Am I making this up, or is it coming through? And it's so far-fetched, can we believe it or not? But as I said, in this position, we're not making any moves. It's up to them, and it's their decision to muster up the courage. We already know, which should open the door even farther for them to come forward. It's not a secret, you know. It's visible. We know, if that makes sense. I'll leave it there. If this resonated, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and Hopefully, someone can muster up the courage to come towards you. And if not, uh, keep on trucking. We'll see you.